Hello, welcome to another video. Please like, share and subscribe for more amazing story. True God in Another Worlds, Tensura x Tbate, by Tempest_King_20. Chapter 41 My Cute Little Sister's Birthday, Rimuru Pav. The existence of the other continent had finally been announced to the public, causing a frenzy of excitement and curiosity among the masses. Gideon had wasted no time in commencing the construction of the ship. And there were a lot of things that had happened, but amidst all this hubbub, there was something even more momentous happening: Ellie's birthday. My mother had entrusted me and my brother, Art, with the responsibility of greeting the guests as they arrived. Honestly, I wasn't thrilled about the task, but I understood the importance of making our guests feel welcome on Ellie's special day. Taking a deep breath, I adjusted my blue pants and meticulously smoothed out any creases on my crisp blue button-down shirt. The garment, embellished with ornate golden embroidery, perfectly complemented my peculiar physical traits. My hair, a stunning fusion of blue and silver, cascaded down my back, and my golden eyes sparkled with eager anticipation. Swiftly gathering my hair and securing it in a neat tie, I mentally prepared myself for the task ahead. As if sensing my anticipation, Sylvie jumped onto my shoulder. I couldn't help but smile at her playful gesture as I gently patted her on the head. While I secretly wished she would assume her human form, I knew that revealing her true nature to others could potentially cause unnecessary commotion. So far, only Art had the privilege of witnessing Sylvie's human form. Emerging from my bedroom, I found my brother patiently waiting for me outside my door. Art appeared exceptionally dashing in his sleek black suit, paired with a pristine white-collared shirt. The only touch of color amidst his ensemble was the light blue scarf elegantly knotted beneath his shirt collar. "Are you ready?" I asked him, a hint of excitement evident in my voice. He flashed me a lopsided grin. "I feel like some sort of flamboyant showdog," he joked, causing me to burst into laughter. With our spirits lifted, we made our way down the stairs, prepared to welcome the arriving guests to Ellie's birthday celebration. The Helsta Manor was alive with excitement as Ellie's surprise party was in full swing. The ballroom was decked out in opulent decorations, with vibrant string tapestries that draped over tables and stages. Stately embellishments adorned every surface, from the chandeliers to the walls, adding a touch of grandeur to the occasion. The luminous orbs that made up the chandelier glittered, casting a serene ambiance over the room as the guests began to enter through the colossal front doors. Unbeknownst to Ellie, who was currently getting ready with our mother and Lily in a secluded wing of the manor, the ballroom was the secret setting for her surprise party. Oblivious to the festivities that awaited her, she believed that our families were simply going out to dine at a fancy restaurant, unaware of the grand celebration that had been meticulously planned in her honor. "Welcome, welcome. Please come in." My brother and I greeted Ellie's school friends as they walked in, with friendly smiles and extended arms. The girls blushed and giggled shyly. As more guests began to arrive, we greeted them with the same graciousness, hoping to make everyone feel at home. The attendees of my sister's party included her friends and their chaperones, who were an older group of people. In addition to this, there were a few of my parents' friends and Helsta acquaintances. By 8 o'clock, the majority of the people on the guest list had arrived, and my mother notified the maid that she and my sister would be coming down shortly. "Well, aren't you dressed all neat and spiffy?" I turned toward the door to see Gideon in his signature brown lab coat, a cleaner one at least, and a set of new goggles hanging on his neck. "Mr. Gideon, we didn't expect you to be here too," Arthur said, unable to suppress his smile, which often appeared whenever he was in the presence of the eccentric inventor. "Bah. You and I have a lot to talk about, and don't you forget, I'm not leaving you until I'm satisfied," Gideon replied with a hint of pride, his voice filled with a mix of determination and excitement. He adjusted his coat with a flourish before making his way over to the refreshment booth, immediately requesting an alcoholic drink. Elijah, who had been engrossed in conversation with a slightly older chaperone girl, walked over to join us, his shoulders slumped in defeat. His normally neat hair was ruffled, his glasses sat crooked on his nose, and his tie was loosened, reflecting the unsuccessful attempts he'd made to strike up conversation. "I've tried striking up conversation with 3 different girls now, and each time they conveniently find an excuse to go elsewhere," he sighed, his crooked glasses further emphasizing his dejection. There was a hint of frustration in his voice, but also resolve as he straightened his glasses and adjusted his tie, determined to make another attempt. Before I had the chance to tease him, Our attention was captured by the booming voice of the maid. "Everyone, please get ready. Lady Alice and Eleanor are on their way here," she announced, motioning for the lights in the ballroom to be turned off. The sudden darkness heightened the thrill and anticipation in the air, pulsating with excitement. Whispers of excitement filled the room as guests anxiously awaited Ellie's arrival. The sound of hushed conversations reverberated off the walls, creating a faint hum that added an air of suspense to the atmosphere. "Mama, I thought we were going out for dinner. Where are we?" Ellie's voice trailed off as confusion tinged her expression upon entering the ballroom. "Surprise!" The collective voice of the crowd erupted in jubilation, overwhelming Ellie with their sheer enthusiasm. It was as if the room came alive with joy, the energy palpable and infectious. As the chandelier's radiant glow filled the room once more, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the marble floors, Ellie's bewildered face transformed from initial surprise to pure and utter joy. Her eyes widened, shimmering with unbridled happiness, and her hands instinctively went to cover her gaping mouth. A soft gasp escaped her lips, mingling with the gasps and exclamations of the guests. But there was no time for prolonged astonishment as her school friends, unable to contain their excitement any longer, rushed towards her, enveloping her in a cacophony of hugs and laughter. The room was filled with the sound of joyful chatter and laughter as the friends reunited, their voices merging together to create a symphony of happiness. "Good job welcoming all of the esteemed guests, my talented and charming boys," our mother praised, her graceful hand gently patting our heads as she expressed her affection. Reluctantly, she allowed herself to be pulled away by some of her friends, leaving my brother and me to explore the lavish ballroom. However, my attention was immediately drawn to my father's presence. He stood amongst a group of influential figures, including Uncle Vincent, engaged in business conversations that failed to captivate my interest. Waiters in crisp black suits and white gloves walked around, expertly balancing silver platters of delicious hors d'oeuvres and flutes of champagne. The delectable aroma of rich cheeses, cured meats, and freshly baked pastries tantalized my senses, creating an irresistible desire for indulgence. Thinking about it, I didn't see seal here, as I nibbled on a petite puff pastry stuffed with a delectable blend of savory meats and cheeses. Scanning the opulent ballroom, decorated with gold-gilt walls that glistened under the cascading light of shimmering chandeliers, my thoughts fixated on my girlfriend's whereabouts as I enjoyed the food and gave Sylvie as well. Amidst the delightful chatter, the ambiance suddenly transformed as the air filled with the tinkling sound of a crystal glass chime. All eyes were drawn to the stage, where my inebriated father stood, a glass of red wine held precariously in his hand. Ahem. Before we officially commence the festivities, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for gracing us with your presence on this unforgettable evening. We gather here to celebrate the cherished birth of my beloved daughter, my father declared, his voice reverberating throughout the grand ballroom. As my sister, Ellie, blushed, her friends clustered around her, their laughter and excitement adding to the mirthful atmosphere. "Let the music begin." My father signaled to the back of the stage, where 5 musicians emerged, each holding their instruments. I marveled at their beauty, noticing that they were not the traditional string instruments I was familiar with, but something unique and almost identical. 2 violinists, 1 violist, 1 cellist, and 1 pianist appeared, dazzling in their concert attire. As they began to play, the music washed over us, drawing us into its spellbinding rhythm. The sound of the piano was much deeper and more resonant than that of an ordinary grand piano, and it filled the ballroom with its soulful melodies. It would bring great joy to see my greatest sons and daughter have the first dance. Our father raised his glass, his eyes narrowing into a tipsy grin as he made his request. I glanced at my mother, who bore a panicked expression. Neither she nor our father had ever given either of us dancing lessons. Ellie's face reflected sheer horror, realizing she could become a total embarrassment on her birthday. I sighed, feeling a little happy inside, and walked over to where my sister and her friends were standing as Sylvie jumped from my shoulder to Art's shoulder. "Will you do me the honor of gracing me with your hand for a dance?" I bowed gracefully, meticulously removing my gloves and extending my hand with finesse. Squeals and giggles erupted from the circle of her friends, but I paid them no mind, my focus solely on Ellie before me. As the sweet melody filled the air, my sister giggled nervously, hesitantly placing her small hand in mine. The crowd began to gather, drawn in by the anticipation of our performance, and their applause echoed throughout the grand ballroom, intensifying the atmosphere. With each beat, our movements grew more fluid, as if we were one, effortlessly gliding across the polished floor. "Don't worry, little sister, we shall not be a spectacle of embarrassment," I whispered reassuringly, a warm smile gracing my lips as we started to sway to the rhythm. "Easy for you to say, for you possess such grace," Ellie replied, her voice tinged with self-doubt. In her hesitation, she unintentionally stepped on my foot, which elicited a chuckle from me. "I believe you are doing splendidly," I teased, my laughter twinkling in my eyes. "Besides, it matters not what others think. Let us revel in the joy of this moment." As we continued to dance, Ellie began to let go of her worries, surrendering herself to the music. Our steps grew more synchronized, moving seamlessly as one. Lost within the harmonious notes and the magical ambiance of the ballroom, we shared a world of our own creation, where worries vanished and smiles bloomed. Ellie's smile radiated like a glowing sun, contagious and captivating the growing audience. With a quick twirl, we spun together, and the musicians seamlessly followed our lead, breathing life into our dance. As the final strains of the song filled the room, we gracefully came to a halt, still in perfect harmony with the musicians. The applause that erupted from the audience enveloped Ellie's panting breaths, showering us in adoration and admiration. That was absolutely wondrous. Exquisite. Such artistry. The room buzzed with awe and praise, the sounds of compliments resounding from every corner, enhancing the radiance of my sister's smile as we basked in the glow of the limelight. "Brother!" Ellie's delight overflowed as she leapt joyfully into my arms, nearly knocking me off balance. Her laughter, pure and contagious, echoed through the hall as she wrapped her arms tightly around my neck. I chuckled warmly, lowering her gently to the ground, my hand affectionately patting her head. "Happy birthday, my dearest princess," I whispered, bending down to place a tender kiss on her forehead. Her laughter bubbled forth, her eyes sparkling with sheer happiness. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming surge of love and gratitude for the precious gift of having her as my sister. As I straightened up, taking in the applause and cheers from the audience, my gaze fell upon my father, his features illuminated with a wide grin that stretched from ear to ear. Despite the heaviness of the alcohol on his breath, the genuine pride sparkling in his eyes couldn't be denied. "Ha ha, my beautiful princess and my handsome son. A magnificent performance," he boisterously exclaimed, his words slightly slurred from his indulgences. I sighed inwardly, knowing all too well that my father's drinking habits always led to trouble. Standing beside him, my mother glared at him with a mix of anger and a disappointment. Her hand firmly clasped his earlobe as if disciplining a child who had acted out of line. "Do you have any idea what a disaster that could have been if Ree didn't know how to dance?" she whispered fiercely, her eyes flashing with intensity. Her words carried a weight that conveyed both her frustration with my father's behavior. I couldn't help but chuckle at her stern words. "Well, to be fair," I pointed out, grinning at my little sister Ellie, who stood next to me, beaming with pride. "Ellie is a great dancer too." As if on cue, a familiar voice rang out behind me, drawing my attention. "Well, that was truly amazing, don't you think so, Seal?" I turned to see Seal and Sylvia walking towards us, their smiles reflecting both admiration and applause for our performance. Their presence added a touch of elegance and enchantment to the already magical evening. Seal, with her silver hair cascading down her back in soft waves, seemed to radiate a natural beauty that was both striking and mesmerizing. Her delicate features were framed by loose strands of hair that fell to her shoulders. The silver locks seemed to shimmer in the light, emphasizing her otherworldly allure. Her captivating red eyes, like the blood, sparkled with intelligence and grace. Ciel's dress was an intricate masterpiece of elegance and sophistication. The fitted white bodice hugged her slim figure with precision, accentuating her graceful curves in all the right places. The intricate lacework that adorned the top of the dress added a touch of ethereal femininity, imparting a sense of delicate poise to her presence. The flowing red skirt of the dress moved with an ethereal grace, billowing out around her as she walked, adding to the overall impression of fluidity and elegance. Thin spaghetti straps crisscrossed over her shoulders, complementing the enchanting picture of ethereal beauty she embodied. Sylvia, on the other hand, exuded a different kind of enchantment. Her dress, a masterful combination of white and blue, was meticulously woven into an intricate pattern that flowed down the length of her gown. Its off-the-shoulder design exposed her porcelain-like skin, accentuating her angelic features. As Sylvia approached, Her soft blue eyes sparkled with a mischievous glimmer, adding a sense of vibrancy to her already enchanting presence. They were full of life and curiosity, drawing us in with their captivating charm. Her hair, tied in a ponytail, cascaded down her back like soft silk tendrils, adding a touch of elegance and sophistication to her appearance. The dress Sylvia wore had been expertly designed with a cinched waistline, highlighting her slender figure. The flowing skirt gracefully cascaded down to the ground, creating a dreamy and ethereal silhouette that seemed to belong in a fairy tale. Every step she took was accompanied by a sense of grace and enchantment that could only be described as magical. Completing her ethereal ensemble was a small silver pendant, adorned with a purple gem, which I had given her a few years ago. It glistened in the light, drawing attention to her graceful neckline, symbolizing the bond we shared. Delicate silver bracelets adorned her wrists, their soft tinkling adding a musical quality to her presence, as if she carried a secret song wherever she went. "You both look absolutely stunning," I exclaimed, my heart swelling with pride as I admired Seal and Sylvia. The regal elegance of their dresses and their confident poise truly made them look like royalty. Blushing, both Seal and Sylvia couldn't help but smile gratefully. "Thank you," Seal replied, her voice a mix of delight and modesty. She glanced down at her dress, a small smile tugging at her lips. "I'm glad you like it." Sylvia enthusiastically nodded in agreement, her radiant smile filling the room with warmth. In the midst of our conversation, Sylvie's voice reverberated in my mind. "Papa, Papa, Mama Sylvia and Mama Seal look absolutely amazing." Her words brought a chuckle to my lips, and I gently calmed Sylvie down to prevent her from pouncing on Sylvia in excitement. Amidst the confusion of those around us, Seal gracefully approached Ellie and embraced her in a heartfelt hug. "Happy birthday, Ellie," she expressed sincerely while radiating warmth. Ellie returned the embrace with equal enthusiasm, her face lighting up. "Thank you, Seal." My mother, curious and playful, turned to me and whispered, "Who is this lovely young lady beside you?" Her eyes fixed on Sylvia, who stood quietly by my side. "My apologies for not introducing her sooner," Sylvia responded, her head slightly lowered manner in a polite yet friendly. "My name is Sylvia Morgan. I am a friend of Ree and Seal, as well as Art." Surprise washed over my mother's face as she looked back and forth between me, Sylvia, and Sylvie. Eventually, a smirk crept onto her lips. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Sylvia. I'm Rimuru's mother," she introduced herself with a warm smile. Sylvia's response matched the warmth of my mother's greeting as she returned the smile. "Likewise, it is a pleasure to meet you." Upon hearing the surname, Morgan, Uncle Vincent's eyes broadened with excitement. "Morgan? As in Jackson Morgan?" he exclaimed in hushed awe, his curiosity piqued. Sylvia nodded, a playful smile playing at her lips. "Yes, I am his younger sister," she revealed, her voice barely above a whisper. Leaning in closer, Uncle Vincent spoke softly. "I have heard so much about your brother. He is a highly respected businessman in our community," he whispered, nodding with admiration. My father's eyes sparkled with intrigue. "You mean the S-rank adventurer?" he asked, a glimmer of excitement evident in his voice. Sylvia's amusement was evident as she nodded. "Yes, that's him. I had the opportunity to go on a dungeon raid with his party, alongside Art and Jasmine, and we got to know each other," she explained, eliciting understanding nods from everyone around. Amidst the crescendo of the music, the shimmering lights of the ballroom reflected in CL's sparkling eyes as she turned towards me. "Isn't the music just incredible?" she said, her small smile tugging at her lips. Unable to resist her infectious enthusiasm, a smile bloomed on my face. "Yes, it's absolutely enchanting," I replied, gently intertwining my fingers with hers. "Would you do me the honor of a dance?" I asked, fully aware of her silent longing to glide across the dance floor. Delight radiated from every pore of CL's being as she eagerly nodded. "Oh, yes. I would love to," she replied with genuine excitement. We stepped onto the dance floor, feeling as though the world had faded away and left only the two of us in its wake. With graceful fluidity, we moved in perfect harmony, our bodies swaying and twirling effortlessly to the rhythm of the music. CL's elegance and poise left me awestruck, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for having her in my life. "You're extraordinary at this. When did you learn?" I asked, genuinely curious about her newfound dancing prowess. A rosy blush tinted Ciel's cheeks as she cast me a radiant smile. Her eyes shimmered with joy as she replied, "I've been taking lessons from Sylvia for the past few months. I wanted it to be a surprise for you." As we continued to dance, a surge of love washed over me, erasing any doubts or worries that may have lingered. With every twirl and sway, her hand fit perfectly in mine, and I reveled in the warmth of her presence. I felt her head gently rest against my shoulder, a tender connection that spoke volumes without words. The music transitioned into a mellower melody, and I instinctively wrapped my arm around Ciel's waist, pulling her closer to me. Our eyes locked, and I saw a depth of love and adoration reflected in her gaze. As the tempo of the music escalated once again, our movements became more vibrant and energetic. Ciel's joyful laughter filled the air, echoing through the grand ballroom as I spun her effortlessly before drawing her back into my arms. With the resolute cadence of the final notes, we gradually slowed to a gentle stop, our breathing lingering in the air like a soft duet. Our gaze locked, our smiles mirrored and broadened, as if there were an invisible thread connecting our souls. Unable to contain my awe and genuine admiration, I whispered, my voice filled with reverence, "That was absolutely breathtaking." I let the words linger, not wanting to break the intensity of the moment. A radiant smile graced Ciel's face, her nod of agreement understated but powerful. Her voice, barely above a whisper, carried a depth of emotion that surpassed the limitations of spoken language. It was more than perfect, she breathed, her voice a fragile vessel for the overwhelming sentiment she felt. Returning to the gathering area where our families awaited us, we were greeted by the beaming face of my mother. Her elation and pride were evident as she took in the sight of us. "I am so glad the both of you had such a magical time," she exclaimed, her eyes twinkling with uncontainable joy. Her words caused a subtle blush to tinge our cheeks. Aunt Tabitha, unable to resist teasing us, added a touch of gentle amusement to the atmosphere. Her voice carried a playful lilt as she remarked, "Oh, just look at you two. Blushing like newlyweds." Her words elicited a shared laughter, further amplifying the joyous energy that enveloped us. Ciel's gaze shifted from me to Sylvia and then back to me. Her voice, infused with playful chiding and a mischievous sparkle in her eyes, addressed the playful teasing. "Perhaps you should pay some attention to your daughter's mother, don't you think?" she suggested, her words dancing with whimsy. Closing the distance between Sylvia and me, I summoned a playful tone, effortlessly melding a slight jest into my words. "May I have this dance, Sylvia?" I inquired, infusing my words with a hint of jest. Sylvia looked a little taken aback, but she quickly composed herself and offered me a gracious smile. "Well, I don't want to draw attention to us like you two did, but I'd love for us to walk together for a bit," she said with characteristic charm. With a nod of agreement, I extended my arm, inviting Sylvia to join me. "Sounds good to me," I replied, a grin forming on my lips. Sylvia Morgan, Indrith. Paw of the biting wind whipped strands of my white hair into my eyes, momentarily blinding me as I stood outside the party. From behind me came a cacophony of sound, muffled laughter mingling with the melody of the music, echoing out into the open air. It was a stark contrast to the quiet and peacefulness that lay outside. Next to me, Rimuru stood, his hair a mesmerizing blend of vivid blue and shimmering silver that effortlessly caught the ambient light and danced like an ethereal wave. Each strand of his hair swayed gently in the wind, flowing like ethereal ribbons in the darkness. The sight of his hair alone was breathtaking, appearing as a work of art meticulously crafted by a master. Its length extended all the way down to his waist, cascading in enchanting curls that seemed to radiate a soft, mystical glow. In the moonlight, his hair glimmered like a celestial constellation of silver strands scattered across the sky, evoking an otherworldly beauty and granting Rimuru an almost divine aura. But it wasn't just his magnificent hair that left me spellbound. Rimuru's deep golden eyes possessed an alluring charm, their brilliance and warmth captivating and hypnotic in their gaze. When his gaze met mine, it felt as if I was the sole inhabitant of his world, as if he could peer into the depths of my soul with clarity. His regal appearance was enhanced by the deep blue and gold clothing he wore, a perfect match for his hair and eyes. The fabric itself exuded luxury and opulence, its fine textures and intricate patterns speaking of a tailored craftsmanship. The garments hugged his exquisite figure with delicate precision, accentuating his graceful movements and the confidence that radiated from his every pore. He exuded an effortless grace, like a ruler of immense power and stature. As Rimuru exhaled slowly, his breath materialized into a soft mist, swirling momentarily in the frigid air before dissipating. He turned to face me, and our eyes locked, invoking a profound sense of calmness within me. His mere presence emanated a palpable serenity, as if he held the power to calm the most tempestuous of seas or soothe the stormiest of hearts. In his company, all worries and anxieties seemed to fade away, replaced by a tranquil stillness that enveloped me completely. Drawing in a deep breath, I closed my eyes, feeling the coolness of the night gently caress my skin and the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. I allowed myself to be completely immersed in the serene aura that enveloped us. The world had been relentless and cruel, especially for someone in my position, but with Rimuru by my side, I felt a sense of belonging that had eluded me for years. With him, everything felt as though it would be all right, and that I had finally found my rightful place in this vast world. I fled from my clan, and seeking refuge with my fiancé, who had undergone a terrifying transformation before imprisoning me in order to conduct cruel experiments on my body. My escape had been grueling, fraught with danger at every turn. I had been running and hiding since then, desperately seeking a sanctuary where I could find solace and peace. And that was when I stumbled upon it, a remote cave tucked away deep within the heart of a dense forest, nestled within the rugged embrace of towering mountains. It became my hiding place, my refuge from the world that had turned against me. The cave provided me with shelter and protection from the elements, its hard walls offering a sense of security amidst the chaos. Over time, I had adorned its rugged surfaces with makeshift decorations, trying to create a semblance of home in this desolate hideaway. But as I settled into my life of self-imposed solitude, I couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped, of missing out on the world beyond those cave walls. I yearned to watch my daughter grow, to be by her side as she took her first steps and uttered her first words. Yet, the cruel circumstances had dictated otherwise, sealing my fate within the confines of that cave. And then, like an unexpected twist of fate, Rimuru entered my life. I still remember the first time I saw him, appearing out of thin air in that very cave where I had sought refuge. With his arrival, he brought with him a sense of hope that I hadn't felt in years, a glimmer of possibility in an otherwise bleak existence. At first glance, I mistook him for a mere child, but it soon became clear that he was far from ordinary. He possessed powers and abilities that surpassed mortal comprehension. And more importantly, he had saved me, offering me a new chance at life, a shot at happiness that wouldn't have been possible had I remained trapped on my continent, ensnared by circumstances beyond my control. I opened my eyes and looked up at Rimuru, a mixture of admiration and awe in my gaze. His hair, bathed in the moon's soft glow, shimmered like liquid mercury, each silver strand reflecting the celestial light with a captivating brilliance. Though he was always composed and refined, an air of regality surrounding him, there was also a profound warmth within his presence that drew others to him, making him utterly unlike any other being I had ever known. "It truly is a magnificent night," he remarked, breaking the comfortable silence between us. His voice resonated with a depth that sent ripples of tranquility through the air, like the soothing melody of a distant lullaby. I nodded in agreement, my eyes sweeping across the vast expanse of the night sky. The velvet canvas above us was adorned with countless stars, their radiant luminosity sprinkling the darkness like an elaborate tapestry of glittering diamonds. And with each breath I took, the night air carried the crisp scent of blooming flowers, infusing the atmosphere with an otherworldly charm that added to the ethereal ambiance. "It's been far too long since I've attended a celebration like this," I confessed, breaking the silence once more. The pulsating music reverberated throughout the opulent ballroom, mingling with the animated chatter of the guests. Rimuru turned to me, his gaze allowing me to lose myself in his deep golden eyes. The soft glow of the moonlight reflected in his iris, creating an ethereal effect. "Do you like it?" he asked, his voice soft and gentle, as if he genuinely cared about my response. I smiled, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over me. "I do. Thank you for bringing me here," I replied, reaching out to touch his arm gently. The feel of his strong muscles beneath my fingertips sent a shiver through me, and I found myself leaning in closer to him, seeking his warmth amidst the chilly night air. Rimuru's smile was infectious, and I felt an unexpected warmth spreading through my chest. The genuine happiness in his eyes mirrored the joy that surged within me. "I'm glad you're here," he said, his eyes filled with a hint of something that I couldn't quite decipher. I felt a sense of ease wash over me at his words, something about Rimuru always made me feel safe and secure. The darkened balcony offered a haven amid the chaos of the celebration, a place where we could steal a moment of solitude. Come to think of it, this is the first time we've been alone, I remarked, leaning against the intricately wrought balcony railing next to him, the cool metal pressing against my back. Rimuru chuckled in agreement. Yes, it is, he said, taking a moment to breathe in the crisp night air. His gaze wandered across the scene, his eyes filled with a mix of wonder and contentment. The glittering lights of the city stretched out before us, creating a breathtaking panorama. So what are your plans? He asked me, turning his gaze back towards the bustling party behind us, where silhouettes twirled and laughter spilled like champagne. I paused, considering my options. The possibilities stretched out before me, as vast and exhilarating as the star-filled sky above. I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe I'll continue on my adventure or help Jackson with his quests, I mused, thinking of the man who had become my adopted brother. Rimuru nodded thoughtfully. You both have become quite close, he remarked, his eyes sparkling with amusement. He always seemed to see through me, understanding the intricate web of relationships I had formed. Are you jealous? I asked with a mischievous grin, remembering the times he had playfully teased me in the past. It felt liberating to banter with Rimuru, to let my guard down and revel in the comfort of his presence. Rimuru's grin turned into a smirk as he raised an eyebrow, his eyes glinting mischievously. What if I was? He replied playfully, his voice laced with a hint of challenge. I felt my cheeks flush with heat at his words, my heart rate quickening. I would tell you that you have nothing to be jealous about, I replied with a smile, my voice filled with a blend of affection and warmth. Rimuru's laughter echoed through the air, a contagious sound that brought a smile to my own lips. His amusement was infectious, and it added another layer of warmth to the already magical night. As he turned his gaze back to the night sky, a pensive expression took hold of his features, as if lost in profound contemplation. Cautiously, I approached him, allowing my eyes to trace the lines of his profile. You know, he spoke up, his voice filled with a hint of excitement, Seal is going to the academy too. Why don't you come along as well? You'll have the chance to try new things and stay with Sylvie at the same time. His words hung in the air, filling me with a surge of anticipation. The mere suggestion of embarking on a new chapter in my life, filled with fresh experiences and shared moments with my dearest friends, sent my heart racing. I took a moment to steady my breath before responding, my voice barely above a whisper. That sounds good. A genuine and radiant grin spread across Rimuru's face, his eyes shining with eager anticipation. His excitement was palpable, and it mirrored the hopeful flutter in my own chest. Then I will speak to Cynthia tomorrow and make the necessary arrangements, he declared, his voice filled with determination. As we stood beneath the vast expanse of the inky night sky, a profound realization washed over me. The arduous journey I had endured, fraught with pain and hardships, had ultimately led me to this very moment. A moment in which newfound happiness and companionship bloomed. Rimuru stood beside me, a radiant beacon of light in my life, and I found myself overwhelmed with gratitude for everything he had done for me. With a tender smile, I nodded in agreement with Rimuru's suggestion. Thank you, Rimuru, I whispered, my voice carrying a mixture of admiration and deep affection. Rimuru's eyes softened, emanating warmth as he gently clasped my hand in his. The touch sent a soft tingle running up my arm, igniting a symphony of emotions within me. No thanks are needed, Sylvia, he murmured, his voice filled with sincerity. Your happiness is more than enough reward for me. A gentle blush crept across my cheeks at his words, my affection for him only intensifying. You truly have a knack for making a girl blush, I teased, playfully nudging him. His chuckle rang out, his eyes crinkling with joy. Ah, well, that's just one of my many talents, he quipped, his smile radiating genuine happiness. The moonlight cast a soft glow on his face, as if highlighting the magic that seemed to surround us in that moment. I laughed at that, feeling happy and contented. I couldn't help but speak my mind, a thought that had suddenly surfaced. With an unsteady breath, I mustered the courage to speak the words that lingered on my tongue. I am genuinely grateful for the role you have assumed as a father figure to Sylvie, I confessed, my voice trembling with heartfelt sincerity. Caught off guard by my sudden revelation, Rimuru raised an inquisitive eyebrow, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. A gentle smile graced his features. "Where did this come from all of a sudden?" he inquired, his tone laced with genuine interest. A sheepish chuckle escaped my lips as I averted my gaze, feeling a hint of embarrassment color my cheeks. "To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. It simply struck me in this moment," I admitted, shrugging my shoulders lightly. "But truly, I wanted to express my gratitude for your constant presence in Sylvie's life. It brings me great solace to know that she is in such capable hands when she's with you." As the words spilled forth, memories of a dark past flickered within the depths of my mind. Poisoned whispers tainted the air as I muttered under my breath. "Better than being in the hands of that psycho," I murmured, my voice barely audible, the mere mention of my ex-fiancé serving as a bitter reminder of the dangers Sylvie had narrowly escaped. I had feared his intentions, his sinister desire to exploit Sylvie's unique heritage as a hybrid Asura with the bloodlines of Vritra and Indrath. Rimuru's expression hardened at my words, his grip on the rail tightening instinctively. Without hesitation, I sought comfort in his presence, leaning my weight against him and resting my head upon his shoulders. In that quiet moment, I felt the tension within his body gradually dissolve beneath my touch. To my surprise, he responded by running his fingers through my hair, their gentle caress offering solace in the absence of words. For a moment, everything was still and peaceful as we stood together on the balcony, watching the stars twinkle overhead. But all good things must come to an end, and I eventually broke the silence. "How about we go back now?" I suggested, not wanting to disturb the moment but knowing that it was time to rejoin the party. Rimuru nodded, a lingering smile still adorning his lips, exuding warmth and affection. "Yes, indeed. Perhaps it is time for Ellie to unwrap her presents," he agreed, his voice carrying a gentle undertone. As we gracefully made our way back into the party, the atmosphere seemed to have shifted. The once lively room was now beginning to empty, as guests had already started leaving. It appeared that the energy and excitement that had filled the air earlier in the night had gradually dissipated. There you are," a familiar voice chimed, filled with warmth and affection. Our eyes instinctively sought out the source, and there she was. Lily, gracefully making her way towards us. Her chestnut locks tumbled down in tousled waves, glistening like spun gold under the warm, soft glow of the chandeliers above. The lights played upon her hazel eyes, illuminating the vibrant shades of green and brown that danced within them. They widened in surprise at the sight of us, twinkling with a mixture of astonishment and delight, before crinkling at the corners with unadulterated joy. Her radiant smile transformed her face into a masterpiece, captivating all who were lucky enough to witness it. We couldn't help but be drawn in, basking in the warmth of her smile and the enchantment of her eyes. Our gaze trailed down her graceful figure, enthralled by the elegance exuding from every inch of her. A delicate black dress hugged her form, accentuating her slender yet curvaceous silhouette. The dress boasted a tasteful square neckline, its simplicity adding a touch of sophistication to the ensemble. Short sleeves, adorned with delicate ruffles, added a touch of femininity and playfulness to her attire, brushing gently against her skin as she moved. A slender belt embraced her waist, tying into a dainty bow that added a touch of whimsy. The skirt cascaded from the cinched waist and gracefully flowed with each step, its pleats lending an air of graceful movement as it fell to a modest knee-length. Black heels adorned her feet, imbuing her look with an understated elegance. "Oh Lily, you look absolutely stunning today," Rimuru exclaimed as he approached Lily with a charming wink, his eyes twinkling with admiration. Lily's cheeks flushed a deep shade of pink, the warmth radiating from her glowing smile. "Thank you, You're looking quite handsome yourself," she replied, her voice filled with a hint of playful teasing as she subtly bit her lower lip, unable to contain her giggle. Turning towards me, Lily's eyes sparkled with genuine affection as she greeted me warmly, her voice carrying a gentle melody. "Sylvia, it's been far too long. How have you been?" "I've been quite well, Lily. It's truly fantastic to see you again," I replied, my voice filled with genuine happiness. Rimuru looked visibly surprised by our connection, his eyebrow raising inquisitively as he shifted his attention between Lily and me. "You two know each other?" he inquired, his voice laced with genuine curiosity. Lily and I exchanged a knowing look before bursting answer. "Yes, we are hanging out with Seal 2 from time to time," I said. Rimuru nodded with a sigh, a hint of light-hearted exasperation in his voice. And of course, you didn't think to mention that, he said playfully, a crooked smile gracing his lips. Chuckling softly, Lily took charge of the moment, her poise captivating as she guided us towards where Rimuru's family had gathered. Her voice brimmed with anticipation, infusing the air with a sense of excited expectancy. Come now, Ellie is eagerly awaiting the opening of her presents, and she simply won't start without her dear brother, she said lightly, her words carrying a gentle sway of enthusiasm. In unanimous agreement, we followed Lily's lead, our steps falling into perfect synchrony with the collective excitement that seemed to pulse through the room. As we approached the small congregation, the distinct sound of Ellie's infectious laughter reached our ears. Her eyes instantly lit up like a grand display of shimmering fireworks as she caught sight of Rimuru, unable to contain her unruly delight any longer. Brother! You're finally here, she squealed with unrestrained delight, her outstretched arms reaching for Rimuru as if he were her savior descending from the heavens themselves. Apologizing for his delayed arrival, Rimuru enveloped Ellie in a tight embrace, lifting her delicate frame off her feet for a brief, heartfelt moment before gently setting her back down. The profound affection between them was undeniably palpable, radiating like a warm glow that permeated every corner of the room. It's all right, brother, Ellie replied with a voice filled with innocent adoration, her pure soul shining through her words. Her attention swiftly turned to the enticing pile of presents in front of her, captivating her wide eyes with their promise of hidden treasures. With an exuberant eagerness, she dove into the colorful sea of wrapped boxes and ribbons, tearing through the delicate paper with contagious excitement. We all gathered around Ellie, our faces reflecting the genuine happiness that permeated the air, as her parents presented her with a pair of intricately designed hair ties adorned with ornamental bells, each bell possessing a mesmerizing iridescent hue. Ellie's face lit up with sheer delight as she cradled the hair ties in her small hands, her joy spilling forth like a bubbling spring. Mommy, can you tie my hair up with these hair ties? She pleaded, her voice filled with an innocent charm that melted everyone's hearts. And so, her mother diligently wove a pair of twin ponytails, transforming Ellie into a vision of a graceful princess. After several more presents were unwrapped, Ellie's excitement started to wane slightly as most of the gifts revealed themselves to be exquisite dresses. Just as she was about to lose interest, she opened a strikingly large box, her eyes widening with sheer awe at the sight concealed within. Nestled inside the box lay an intricately crafted elven bow, its polished wood gleaming under the soft ambient light. Ellie gasped in amazement, clutching the bow in her tiny hands as if it were a priceless treasure. Wow! It's a bow! She exclaimed with an infectious enthusiasm, her voice reverberating with unabashed delight. As she inspected the carefully carved bow, Art, Seal, Rimuru, and I exchanged quick glances, our eyes filled with silent understanding. We all knew who had sent this gift. Slowly, Ellie turned to her older brother, Art, her eyes brimming with anticipation. Gift, please, dearest brother, she pleaded, her voice filled with both innocence and longing. Alice swiftly intervened, shooting Ellie a gentle reprimanding look. Eleanor, remember to be polite, she reminded, her voice infused with a delicate mix of sternness and warmth. Art couldn't help but chuckle at the exchange, reaching into his pocket and retrieving two perfectly wrapped gift boxes from his magical ring. With a mischievous glimmer in his eyes, he extended one gift to Ellie and the other, a less elaborately decorated box, to their mother. Beaming with anticipation, Ellie eagerly accepted her gift from Art, her hands carefully unwrapping the present with delicate precision. Inside the box, nestled amidst a bed of satin, lay a precious necklace with a dainty pendant. Ellie's eyes widened with wonder as she held the necklace up to the light, the delicate hues of the pendant glistening like 1,000 stars. It was a pink gem delicately embedded on a chain of polished white gold, its beauty captivating all who laid eyes upon it. This is absolutely gorgeous, Alice gasped in awe, her voice barely a whisper, as she admired the exquisite craftsmanship of Art's gift. Art addressed his mother and sister directly, his voice infused with a gentle tone of instruction. Keep it on at all times, all right? He then exchanged looks with their mother, conveying the importance of the precious gift. Meanwhile, Reynolds, still a bit tipsy from the festivities, couldn't contain his curiosity. He leaned forward and asked, his words slightly slurred, "Where in the world did you get something like this, son?" A knowing smile played on Art's lips as he replied, his voice carrying a hint of mystery, "I'm sure you've met Mr. Gideon, right? I'm going to start working with him. This was his way of showing appreciation after I helped him with a small project. Vincent, who had been silently observing, shot Art a knowing look. He knew well enough that the small project Art helped Gideon with was anything but small. Ellie's eyes widened in anticipation as Rimuru caught her attention, his warm smile lighting up the room. She watched intently as a small, delicate box emerged from his ring, bathed in a mesmerizing glimmer of magic. Excitement bubbled within her as he extended the box towards her, his voice filled with heartfelt affection. "Happy birthday, Ellie." With a mix of excitement and curiosity, Ellie eagerly opened the box, revealing a pair of golden earrings and a silver ring. Her eyes widened with delight as she examined the pieces, her gaze filled with wonder and admiration. Carefully placing the earrings on her earlobes, she held up the ring to her mother, seeking her opinion. "Is it too big for me?" she asked. Gently, Alice took the ring and delicately slipped it onto Ellie's finger. "It fits perfectly, my dear." A smile of pure joy spread across Ellie's face as she admired her new accessories, proudly showing them off to everyone in the room. Seal couldn't help but be curious and asked Rimuru a question. "So, are these just regular accessories, Ri?" Her eyes sparkled with intrigue as she examined the earrings. Rimuru's smile grew even wider as he explained, a glimmer of pride evident in his voice. "Well, actually, they possess a special enchantment. These earrings will enhance your magical abilities." He then pointed to the silver ring with a glint of excitement in his eyes. "And this ring, my dear Ellie, is a dimensional ring. It will allow you to carry your bow with you at all times, no matter where you go." Ellie's eyes widened with amazement once again, overwhelming her heart with a flood of gratitude and love. She couldn't contain her emotions and hugged Rimuru tightly, her voice filled with genuine affection. "Thank you so much, Rimuru. You truly are the best." Her words reverberated through the room, carrying the warmth and joy that filled the air. Rimuru laughed and returned the gesture, embracing his little sister. "Anything for you, Ellie." His gaze then shifted to Art with a mischievous smirk. Foo, did you hear that? I'm officially the best," Rimuru playfully boasted in our mental bond, teasing Art. Art rolled his eyes, responding in a dry tone. Yes, you're the best, Ri." The three of us, Seal, Sylvie, and I, couldn't help but chuckle at their light-hearted banter. Rimuru Pav the lively party had come to an end, and as the night grew darker, the room emptied, leaving only a handful of us and the diligent maids cleaning up the remnants of the extravagant affair. I found myself standing by the door, joined by Art, Seal, Lily, and Sylvie, to farewell to Sylvia. Emma and Kyla arrived to escort her back home. With a warm smile, I approached Sylvia, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for her delightful company throughout the evening. "Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Sylvia. I truly hope you had a splendid time," I said, my voice filled with genuine appreciation. Returning my smile, Sylvia's eyes shimmered with affection. "I had an absolutely wonderful time, thank you for extending your invitation to me," she replied, leaning in to embrace me tightly. Suddenly, without any warning, Sylvie leapt from my shoulder and transformed into her human form. Her petite figure stood before me, her ethereal beauty a testament to her mysterious nature. In response, I swiftly conjured a protective illusion, shielding the remarkable scene from prying eyes, ensuring the confidentiality of Sylvie's transformation. Sylvie wasted no time and dashed towards her mother. Lily was taken aback by the sight of Sylvie's transformation. Her surprise was evident, but she chose not to mention it aloud. Instead, her gaze shifted to me, a silent question lingering in her eyes. Smiling reassuringly, I approached her with a soft step and spoke in a soothing tone. "Lily, this is just between us, okay?" I said, offering her a comforting smile. Lily nodded with a mixture of wonder and understanding, her shrewd mind processing the sudden appearance of Sylvie's human form. I could tell she was itching to ask more questions, but for now, she seemed content to wait and observe. "See you soon, Mama," Sylvie conveyed through our unspoken mental connection, careful to keep her message concealed from Lily's ears, knowing the mystifying effect it would have on her mind. "Yes, my love, see you soon," Sylvia replied, her eyes radiant with the unmistakable love and pride she held for her daughter. Then, turning towards me, Sylvia's face lit up with a bright grin, a promise dancing in her eyes. "We should definitely plan a day out together." My smile widened at the prospect, the warmth within me spreading further at the thought of spending more time with Sylvia and Sylvie. That sounds absolutely marvelous, I replied, my voice laced with genuine enthusiasm. I look forward to it with great anticipation. As the final goodbyes were exchanged, Sylvie gracefully returned to her fox form, nimbly bounding back onto my shoulder. With Sylvia and the girls departing, "Take care of yourself, Sylvia," I called out, offering a final wave before they disappeared from sight. "So, Lily," I began gently as we made our way back into the grand hall, "are you planning to stay here with us or return to the academy?" A warm smile lifted Lily's lips as she leaned forward. "Grandma Cynthia has allowed me to stay here until the new year begins," she replied, a hint of gratitude lacing her voice. "Grandma Cynthia?" Art interjected, raising an eyebrow in genuine curiosity about Lily's relationship with Cynthia. Lily's smile turned sheepish, and she spoke with a touch of affection in her voice. "We've grown quite close, and she asked me to call her Grandma. She even suggested that Rimuru do the same," she chuckled softly. Art seemed momentarily taken aback by this revelation, but he turned to me for confirmation, and I simply nodded in agreement. "I see," Art said, still visibly absorbing this new information. "Well, soon enough, we'll all be heading to the academy," he stated, a hint of excitement beginning to creep into his tone. At Art's remark, Lily's face lit up with anticipation. "Oh, right. Ha ha ha, that means I'll be your senior then." Her voice overflowed with excitement, her eyes sparkling with childlike wonder, and her joy radiating from her very being. "Since Rimuru and Seal haven't officially registered, that means I'll be the senior for all of you." We couldn't help but groan good-naturedly at Lily's proclamation, playfully expressing our mock dissent. Nonetheless, genuine smiles adorned our faces. Seal interjected, "What about Sylvia?" Redirecting the conversation back to our departed friend. "She said she would enroll too," I said. "I will talk to Cynthia about this tomorrow." "Really? Really? That's amazing." Sylvie burst out excitedly, unable to contain her delight. "Yes, indeed. So, you'll be able to spend time with her and Seal," I affirmed, already picturing the three of them strolling together. While I would have preferred Sylvie to be able to freely walk amongst us in her human form, I knew such a transformation was unlikely. We continued to chat, discussing our plans for the future in more detail and exchanging ideas. Eventually, we collectively agreed that it was time to call it a night. "Well, I think we should all get some rest now. It has been a long, eventful day," I declared, stifling a yawn that escaped despite my efforts. "Agreed," Lily concurred, her own yawn escaping as well. With that, we bid each other goodnight and retired to our respective rooms, eager to seek the sweet solace of a well-deserved rest after a thrilling night.